Welcome to Your Vote Counts, jointly sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Marion and Polk Counties and Capital Community Television. My name is Sally Hollemon, and I'm with the Voter Service Committee of the League of Women Voters. The League is a nonpartisan political organization that works to educate the members and the public about governmental issues. The League does not support or oppose candidates. In this program, we are hosting the 3 candidates for Salem Councilor, Ward 7. The order of the opening statements was decided by an earlier drawing of names. Following the opening statements, we will pose questions to the candidates and rotate their responses. Candidates were not given the questions in advance. Our candidates will each have 2 minutes for an opening statement to introduce themselves and discuss their top 2 priorities. The candidates running for Salem Councilor Ward 7 are Warren Bednarz and David Cam and Evan White. I will tell you a little about each candidate and then they will do their introductions. Warren Bednarz is a small business owner. He has volunteered at Marion Polk Food Share and Rotary, is a member of Salem River Crossing and the Salem Downtown Association, is a sponsor of World Beat, served on the Salem Downtown Advisory Board, the West Salem Redevelopment Advisory Board, and the Salem Downtown Strategic Steering Committee. David Cam is a loss prevention manager. He is the current chair of the South Salem Neighborhood Association and has twice been a guest counselor for the current Ward 7 councilman. Evan White is a retired financial manager and economist. He had 32 years of experience in management and the financial and economic analysis. He retired as manager of capital analysis and audits for the Oregon Public Utility Commission. Previously, he worked in banking, private industry, and as a U.S. finance officer. He currently serves on the board of the Sunny Slope Neighborhood Association. Warren Bednarz, please begin with your introduction and top 2 priorities.
Hi, my name is Warren Bednarz, and I have been living in Ward 7 for the last 31 years. With over 3 decades of experience in that ward, I think I am the best suited person to take that position, Ward 7, on the Salem City Council. My first priority is about jobs. As a board member for the Marion Polk Food Share, I think it's important that we feed our community during these hard times, but I also think that it's important to get jobs so these people can feed themselves. I think the city should work in concert with SEDCOR and Chemeketa Community College and other agencies so that they can come up and leverage our capabilities to give us a competitive advantage so that we can create jobs in our community. My second priority is about public safety. This not only includes police and fire, it includes maintained and safe streets, parks, and neighborhoods. With the city facing budget cuts, I think that all the boards and agencies within the city should get together and set their priorities and work collaboratively in ways to cut the budget that has the least impact on our citizens. I have over 3 decades of volunteering in this community and have a proven track record of leadership, of making a difference. I think I am the best candidate for this position, and I think I will work hard for the citizens of Ward 7 and the city at large. Thank you.
David Cam, please begin with your introduction and 2 top priorities.
Thank you. My name is David Cam. Thank you to the League of Women Voters as well as the folks at CCTV for putting this on. It's a good event. Basically, with myself, I've been in Ward 7 since 2008 when I bought a house with my wife. So I feel that a lot of the things that need to happen within Salem is a lot of the revitalization of the areas that are downtown as well as the normal neighborhoods as well, because in doing that, you're going to increase the income for the areas, and you're going to allow those folks to not pay more than their fair share in regards to the topics that are on the chopping block currently. So a lot of those things are going to be the focus of what I want to do. With the Neighbor Association being chair now for over 2 years now, I have been able to now work with Fircrest Park, work with the city staff, as well as work with Bob Cannon, who was the previous city councilor for Ward 7. So a lot of that information and that experience has allowed me to know what those organizations do and how it can actually make things happen within the city as well. So hopefully those things will work in a good aspect. I do have my site up for davidcam.org if you have more questions about it, or if you just want to learn more about me or contact me for more questions. So second priority within things is just to maintain a regular work environment, as well as safety for the folks that are in the area. So a lot of those things need to be maintained for the safety and well-being of the folks of Salem, Oregon, and working within your means. So just like anything within normal households, you work with your budget and you stay within that to make things happen. Thank you.
Evan White, please begin with your introduction and 2 top priorities.
Hi, I'm Evan White. I moved here about 40 years ago when I was hired as the first economist ever in the history of the Oregon Public Utility Commission at a time when folks were very worried about the effect of nuclear power plant construction in the Pacific Northwest. I recruited a very talented cadre of economists, and we did much to save costs for consumers and also improve our quality of life. I have a unique bag of skills, I think, developed over my 32 years of working and analyzing difficult and perplexing public policy issues. My top priority is to be an effective advocate for the residents of Ward 7 who have a substantial investment in their homes, and in connection with that, I've been attending almost all meetings of the Unified Development Code Advisory Committee, which is updating our current city codes. My second priority is to help Salem improve the local economy, reducing unemployment and stabilizing homeowner property values. With a BA in economics from the University of California at Berkeley and an MBA in finance from the Wharton School of Finance and Commerce, and having been elected as chair of the National Regulatory Research Institute at Ohio State University, I have a very good knowledge of the economy in which we compete, and I want to put these skills to work for everyone in Salem.
We'll have the first question, and I will ask each of you the same question, and I will repeat it before each of you speaks. So question number 1, are there any needs in the City of Salem law enforcement and public safety areas that are not being met? If yes, what are your recommendations? David Cam?
Within that, for public safety, for the area, there's a lot of things as far as the budgeting side of things that there isn't enough budget to actually maintain a lot of the jobs that are out there. There are some different aspects of that are being looked at as far as grants for the fire department. So that's going to be a good thing that we'll be able to work with to actually have that staffing maintained with that type of grant program. So a lot of those things are necessary. Even the police department downtown isn't actually large enough to actually maintain a good operating police department. That is definitely going to be a long-term thing, but there is a need for it, and there needs to be some plans put in place for that. So a lot of those things are the things that I feel that are in need for the area.
Thank you. The next question, are there any needs in the City of Salem law enforcement and public safety area that are not being met? If yes, what are your recommendations? And Mr. White?
Well, I think it's kind of a continuum. The more money you throw at the problem, the more the problem's solved. I know the police department is hoping to move to a new facility and is also updating its vehicle fleet with more cost-effective vehicles.
Thank you. All right, the same question. Are there any needs in the City of Salem law enforcement and public safety arena that are not being met? If yes, what are your recommendations? Mr. Bednarz.
Yeah, I'm seeing several things in this community at this point, one of which is we have a large homeless population. We have some problems with people who are asking for money at intersections, and I think that part of the issue needs to be addressed by our city leaders. Second thing I think is that I know that our police department is woefully short of space in the current location that they are, and I think any improvements to their facility would improve their services as well. Third thing I would say is that we know that we have a lot of minorities in this community, and I'd like to see better representation to the police department so that their needs and their issues are addressed in this community.
Thank you. The next question is, how would you address the ongoing debate about development decisions by the Planning Commission, as they may or may not have related to our recent January floods in the larger Salem area? And we'll begin with Mr. White.
I think the city needs to plan more carefully than it has in the past. I'm concerned about the development at Battle Creek, where flooding could have been foreseen, for example. And Salem is located in the floodplain, and I think we simply have to do it more carefully.
Okay, thank you. I'll repeat the question. How would you address the ongoing debate about development decisions by the Planning Commission, as they may or may not have related to our recent January floods in the larger Salem area? And the next answer, Mr. Bednarz.
Thank you. You know, I've been watching the Fairview, Sustainable Fairview development go on, and they've talked about different ponds and retention areas for water, so when it rains that the water has some place to go and mitigate. We also have impervious surface that they've had. There's some presentation that they did before the Planning Commission recently that they're trying to get away from some of the standards that have been set up in that area. I think at this point it's really important that we maintain those standards. Certainly, we don't know when we have a 100-year flood, but we seem to be getting a lot of them in the last few years. Second, I think you need to realize that we may need some regional retention, so that water retention, so that when it rains heavily, that we have places that the water can go and then be really slowly into the system. So I think the development standards should be there. I think there are creative ways to do that, to mitigate extra water in the system. And I think we need to continue down that road. I think a neat thing that we're starting to do are bioswales as an example. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll repeat the question. How would you address the ongoing debate about development decisions by the Planning Commission, as they may or may not have related to our recent January floods in the larger Salem area? And so, Mr. Kam.
Definitely that's a concern. A lot of these have to do with the watersheds within the areas. There are watershed councils on the neighborhood association, each of them within the city, and the development and also the further involvement in those things are going to be helpful in actually having those things done, because I'm sure within the development of those areas they looked at these things and they're trying their best to make sure that they were actually done properly. So again, as the question states, whether it was or was not caused by them, things do happen, and if that's a learning aspect of things, then that has to be part of what they're doing going forward to ensure that that is not a question when it comes up, as far as did they know or were they able to prevent the flooding within any further development.
Thank you. All right, the next question. During the current significant budget deficit of the City of Salem, what role should reserves play in the overall city budget? Mr. Bednarz?
Interesting question. I think reserves are an important part because there's this ebb and flow of the money within the system, and certainly we have a down economy, so our tax base is going down at this moment. So I think we need to establish a reserve of some sort. I think, and the other side of that is that that we need to work collaboratively between all the different areas within the city. That means that we're going to bring in all the administrators, and we need to work on creative ideas. I think we need to listen to different areas. I've already met with the municipal employee union. I've met with the fire department's union. I've been talking to other people. I've been attending the budget meetings to try to understand, so when I get elected, I can go full force on the city council.
Thank you. I'll repeat the question. During the current significant budget deficit of the City of Salem, what role should reserves play in the overall city budget? And Mr. Cam?
Definitely. I feel that the reserves are not a necessity for the things that happen within any city or any budget. Anybody would like to have a bank account with money in it. It's kind of a rainy day fund. You have to be able to do that. Now, there are some ballot measures coming up as far as either not giving back the kicker checks if they ever come about. But then that just has to be looked at as far as how that's going to be operated, because there are two different ones that are coming up for that. Definitely reserves are going to be needed because a lot of people probably didn't see where the current economic status would be, and we are where we are. So reserves are going to be definitely necessary for what goes forward.
Thank you. And I'll repeat the question. During the current significant budget deficit of the City of Salem, what role should reserves play in the overall city budget? Mr. White.
Well, we need reserves because forecasts of revenue are somewhat uncertain, and so you need to decide what sort of error rate you expect in the forecast and ensure you won't run out of money going forward. So I don't know exactly how many months of reserve you need, but it is an important part of the budgeting process.
Okay, thank you. The next question. What is your perspective on transparency in government? For example, as related to keeping the public informed about such projects as upgrading the Salem Airport with a master plan. Mr. Cam?
Okay. In relation to the master plan, a lot of the transparency is necessary for that, but also a lot of the involvement from people that are actually interested in things, because a lot of the things that are out there, there is the information available to you if you want to seek it out. So that involvement is going to be necessary for anything as far as any changes that you plan to see in your neighborhood or within your city or your state or your government. So a lot of those things are out there. So if you're interested, definitely look at those sources, because they'll be able to tell you why they're doing it for the public safety standards or the flight safety standards and everything else. And even though it is a sound pollution issue, there are reasons why they're trying to do what they're doing, and it is a long plan. I believe it's about a 25-year plan that they're looking to be what's the expansion and what's the development that's going to happen in that location.
Thank you. I'll repeat the question. What is your perspective on transparency in government? For example, as related to keeping the public informed about such projects as upgrading the Salem Airport with a master plan. Mr. White?
Well, I think transparency is vitally important for the public because the public, understandably, here in Salem has some issues with situations such as the Courthouse Square project, where apparently decisions were made that were antithetical to the public interest, or the Kaiser Station situation in our neighboring city. I see no reason for everything known about the airport to be publicly known. I don't see any reason for secrets at all, and I agree with David that the information is probably there for anyone who seeks to really find it.
Thank you. And I'll repeat the question once more. What is your perspective on transparency in government? For example, as related to keeping the public informed about such projects as upgrading the Salem Airport with a master plan. Mr. Bednarz.
I've been attending a lot of the neighborhood association meetings recently, and I know that by June 30th they have to have their funds for communications spent, and they're not going to be replenishing those funds. So money that was used to send notifications to people to tell them what's happening in their neighborhood is being cut. The only other way I can see getting that information out is notifications through the internet, which I know that the city is starting to beef up. I am very concerned, and I've expressed that in each of the meetings, that that money right now probably should be used to try to get a larger list of email, because if that's how communication is going to work, that's what we need to work on. As far as actually the city, the transparency of the city, I think the city does a great job of trying to put on programs and to show what different projects are going on in this community. I think they really do a good job of outreach.
Thank you. Next question. What are the, well, now wait a minute. Could we have, let's see, I've got it right here. Are there improvements that that are needed regarding Salem traffic and transportation options? For example, pedestrian and biking friendliness. If yes, how would you address them? And I'm switching around here. Mr. Bednarz, you get to go first.
Well, thank you. You know, as chair of the West Salem Urban Renewal Advisory Board, I've helped develop part of the railroad bridge to connect. I'm a supporter of the bridge from Riverfront Park to Minto Bound, because I think connecting 3 different parks with 2 bridges unifies one city. I think that connection is going to be vital along the way, because I think a lot more people are going to say they want to get out of the cars. They're enjoying that railroad bridge. I was at a neighborhood meeting last night where we talked about the corridor on Church Street, the connection that it has between the Greenway and over into Bush Pasture Park. So I think I like it. I like to have those improvements.
And I'll repeat the question. Are there improvements needed regarding Salem traffic and transportation options, for example, pedestrian and biking friendliness? If yes, how would you address them? And Mr. Cam.
Definitely. For the pedestrian and biking, it is something that a lot of people are looking more towards in regards to saving gas, being more healthy and everything. Those are important aspects of things within the connectivity, because you do want to have ability to be out of the road so you don't get run down by a car. But there are a lot of things that happen even within the communities to work with the folks that are going to have these roads or anything else going by or through their community. And a lot of the meetings are coming up for those things, and it's available again for the information on any of these events or where they're planning to put this, because it is a large expanse of connectivity that they are working on. This is also part of the budgeting, and a lot of these things will probably be worked through. Just need to maintain a lot of the regular day-to-day functions as well to make sure they're working.
Thank you. Are there improvements needed regarding Salem traffic and transportation options, for example, pedestrian and biking friendliness? If yes, how would you address them? Mr. White?
Well, Salem does have a very good comprehensive bike and walk study that I reviewed recently. I live near Sprague High School. It would take me about an hour to walk downtown. It's an unpleasant walk, part of it, going the direct route along Liberty. You can go by another route, but you end up going through back streets and kind of cutting through vacant lots, and it's kind of difficult. There's no safe way to bicycle to and from the Sunny Slope Neighborhood Association or Candelaria, go downtown, and I think we need to tie that into an effective public transportation system, which unfortunately we do not have because we no longer have weekend bus service in this town.
Thank you. Next question. Regarding the city's infrastructure in areas such as drinking water, wastewater, garbage waste management, and stormwater, do you see problems in any of these areas that need to be addressed? If yes, what are your suggestions for improvement? And we'll start with Mr. White.
I don't know of any, frankly. Most of the citizens I've talked to are pretty happy with city services.
All right, and I'll repeat the question. Regarding the city's infrastructure in areas such as drinking water and wastewater, garbage, waste management, and stormwaters, do you see problems in any of these areas that need to be addressed? If yes, what are your suggestions for improvement? Mr. Cam.
Some of the issues that may come up with the stormwater and everything else is the further we want to build the city, the more we're going to have to be able to route those pipes as far as drinking water as well as the wastewaters and everything like that. So it's definitely going to be something to look at to make sure that we can actually sustain the growth that we're looking to have for the city within those type of treatments. Also the funds of those things. There's a lot of money that goes into it, and a lot of money that everyone pays out for their stormwater as well as their drinking water and everything. So those things are going to be an important part of it. Increase the revenue that comes in, and then you'll keep a lot of the money that you're paying out at a regular rate.
Thank you. Regarding the city's infrastructure in areas such as drinking water, wastewater, garbage waste management, and storm waters, do you see problems in any of these areas that need to be addressed? If yes, what are your suggestions for improvement? Mr. White? I'm sorry. You
Mr.
are
Bednarz.
Mr. Bednarz, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yes, I actually do. There's several things that we're talking about, one of which is water infiltration. When we have water coming off of storm systems and entering in the sewer system, such as cross connection at a home where the downspouts are connected in. And we did have a program at one point where they were coming through and low-cost interest loans so that families could then disconnect the storm water from their sewer line system, and we weren't having to treat that storm water at the plant. Hence, that we don't have to expand the plant as much. Second, I actually took the initiative to go and meet with the Garbage Haulers Association of Marion County to learn a little bit more about waste management streams. So I'm in dialogue with them at this point, trying to learn how to handle their job, how they're going to handle the waste that comes out of our community.
Thank you. I've let this go a little too long, so I'm apologizing, but I'm going to shorten you to a minute each for your concluding statements. And Evan White, would you please start with your concluding statement?
I think my great strengths would be my analytical ability and independence. I own no commercial property. I have no ability to profit from inside information or need to recuse myself from decisions made before City Council. In my 30-year career almost 30-year career with the PUC, I time and again created great innovations that benefited everyone in Oregon and worked very effectively as part of a team to improve the lives and save money for everyone in Oregon, and I'd love to have that opportunity to serve my community by representing Ward 7. Please give me that opportunity by voting Evan for Ward 7. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Bednarz?
I hope that my words here today have showed that I have the knowledge, the energy, and the expertise to move on to the position in the Salem City Council. In my tenure, I hope that I will have improved this community by adding jobs, improving our public safety, and improving our quality of life. I would specifically like to see better use of the Mill Creek Industrial Center. I would like to see a reduction in traffic congestion, and I would like to see a connection between the three major parks. I'm excited for the future of Salem because I think it has a lot of potential. With over 30 years of volunteering in the city of Salem, I'm ready to move forward with this position and use my expertise for the benefit of our community. I think I'm the best candidate and will work hard for the city of Salem.
Thank you. Mr. Cam?
Thank you again to everybody that puts us on. Warren, Evan, and I are getting involved with all the things that are going on within the areas. So really just look at the information that we have out for you folks, because a lot of that is out there so you guys can make a good decision on what's going on with the community, because a lot of us are getting involved to make a difference. We're not getting involved to be someone within the community, because a lot of things that happen, this is a voluntary position that we're taking on for the area, and we're working and willing to do that for you folks. But just get out there and know what's going on with the community, get to know your neighbors and everything, so we can actually make things work.
Thank you. On behalf of the League of Women Voters, I want to thank all three of you for your participation today. Thank you to CCTV for providing the opportunity, and to you for watching and participating in your own citizenship. Ballots are mailed beginning on April 26th, and you must mail your ballot back so it is received by the county election officials on or before May 15th. Voters registered by April 24th will be eligible to vote in this election. Please remember to vote and that your vote counts.